All right, welcome back. I'll keep the homework out. I'll walk around. I'll keep checking homework. But right now we're going to start class officially at 9:30. So here's the way the Tuesday, Thursday class is going to work. Each week we have 3 different lessons that we're going to try to get done. We'll do 1.5 of them on one day and then 1.5 of them on the other day. So the first day of the semester we finished 1 and then got halfway through lesson 2. So you probably finished off someplace on page 16 in the big blue packet. So wherever you finished off, your group, wherever you finished, is where you pick up right now. And the goal is to get through the stuff that's in lesson 2 under the classwork heading. So it starts here on page 16. I think many of you finished or almost finished page 16. You're going to keep going to page 17. If you finish all that before I say stop, you're going to skip the quick check. I'll let you know when it's time to do that. But right after the quick check on the next page, there's more practice. So that's what you would do, okay? So start on page 16. Keep going as far as you can. Skip the quick check if you happen to get there and work on this practice. We're going to do this for 20 minutes, and then we'll come back together, all right? The blue packet, and I'll explain all the other handouts in a little bit. Okay, so let's come together as a group. You guys are about to kind of split up to become individuals for the next 5 minutes. So first, let me just say, I think we are working together wonderfully, and I thank you for that. Continue to work together with these people that you probably just met. So what we're going to do right now, wherever you are, just stop. Go to page 18, which is the quick check. And I'll say a little bit something again about the organization, the flow of each of our classes. Generally, at the start of a lesson, I'll do my little demo for 5 or 10 minutes. The bulk of the class would be classwork, which you guys are doing in groups like you just did here. Then there's this little quick check, probably about 5 minutes or so, which is the only thing I'm going to ask you to do individually. Generally, the quick check checks whether or not you understood the stuff from the previous lesson, but we're so early in the course that right now the quick check is just basically testing your arithmetic skill at this moment, all right? So I really want people to be working on this individually. It's one of the few times I'll ask you to do that. So for the next 5 minutes, you're going to work on these things without a calculator. This is arithmetic with fractions, just by yourself. The reason I don't want you working with your neighbors on this one is that you can work with your neighbors and they can say, oh, the way you multiply fractions is blah, and you can say, oh yeah, that's right, that's right. But that doesn't really tell you whether or not you know how to do it on your own on a test or a quiz situation, all right? So work on these for the next 5 minutes. In a couple of minutes, I will project the answer so you can check your work. If you finish early, go back to wherever you just left off in the blue packet. And once we finish this, we'll come back together and do the, we'll talk about all the paperwork that you have. Okay, so let's come back together. Again, it's all right if you haven't finished. So if you got all of these right and done very quickly, wonderful. But if you feel like you need some practice because it took you a long time or you missed 1 or 2 of these, on the page that you're looking at right at the top there, it tells you where to find more practice with problems like these. You see it, pages 745 to 746. So if you need more practice, I'm telling you where to go. Okay. So this particular document right here, which has the answers to the quick check, if I go up above, maybe some of these will look familiar. I know a bunch of you were working on the problem with the tips recently. Okay, so I have an answer key to the entire blue packet. All the stuff that you are working on in class is here. So how wouldn't it be wonderful if you had access to this document? It would. So let's show you how to get there. If you go to Moodle, and if you don't know how to log into Moodle, you can see me right after class and I will tell you. But inside of Moodle, you will find a list of all the courses that you are taking. Ours is this one right here, Math 095. And if you click on that, then eventually we'll get into our site. So let's take a look here. All right, we're not going to run through all of this, but I just want to highlight there are many resources in here first day documents. You can play around in there. Jason's program. I wonder what that could be. Take a look at it. It will help you with arithmetic. Lots of extra practice with different things throughout the semester. The blue packet is available as a PDF here. I don't encourage you to print it. If you want another copy, I have a few extra. But if you have like 3 pages that you want to practice again and you've already marked up your copy, you can go in there and download the PDFs. There are some study tools in the next folder. The Math Studio is covered during a certain number of hours. If you want to know exactly when it's covered, you can take a look right outside our classroom on the wall. This document is taped. It's yellow. It's also available right outside the Math Studio on the 2 doors, and I will give you a bookmark with these hours as soon as they become available. But it is also linked inside of our Moodle page. All right, the next thing I want to show you are the class notes filled in. So I'm teaching this and Sandy is also teaching this, and we've decided to merge our Moodle sites together. But if you click on the thing that says Blue 1 Ian, then maybe it's this. How about that? All right, it's somewhere. I thought I downloaded this thing. Maybe it's this guy. There we are. Okay, so here's Blue 1. It's the table of contents that, that you've already seen, so no big deal. But I want to show you something that you now have access to. Eventually, we find something where I actually did some writing. So remember the problem we did with the Chinese population? All right, so this is what I wrote on the board. You have access to this. It's a PDF, it's full color, it's everything that I put up on the smartboard. So don't feel obligated to write down every single thing you see me write down. You have access to it, okay? All right, so that is there inside of Moodle. And if you go to this class videos thing, it says there's a playlist. So if we go there, it opens up this other window inside of YouTube. At the moment, there's only one item in this playlist, and it's the date from our last class. And so if we go to our, if you open that thing up, I'll just click it here. Take it out of 100. That's what 104.1% is. Okay, so you can relive the magic that was Tuesday's class. You will hear me, you will see me writing, all right? Okay, hear me clearly. This is not my way of saying skip class and just watch the video later on. I don't think that's a good strategy. But if you miss class, this is the best substitute we can find. Also, if you miss class, you're welcome to go to any of Sandy's sections, which she has 4 other times when she comes in and teaches essentially the same material. But if you need to hear me say something once or twice or 10 more times, you can check it out on the video, okay? These videos will be posted probably about 20 minutes after each class ends. All right, and then finally coming back here, remember I had said, wouldn't it be great if you had access to this document with all the answers to the blue packet? So that's what's here at the bottom of our Moodle page. Right now, Key for Blue Lesson 1 is available. Key for Blue Lesson 2, the fact that it's kind of light here means it's hidden to you. I can see it only because I'm an administrator for the page. But this afternoon at 2 o'clock, this PDF with the tip stuff in it will become available to you, all right? So shortly after each class, you have access to all the blue answers. Okay, so I know it's a lot of information and there are plenty of resources here on our Moodle page, and I would encourage you to explore them now as opposed to waiting until you need something frantically the night before a test and not being able to get it. I don't want that to be the moment you realize you don't know how to log into Moodle, okay? Any questions on anything? All right, so I gave you 2 other handouts today, so let's be clear on what those handouts are. So you have a big green packet and a big yellow packet. The big green packet is called Required Homework. We'll talk about it in a moment. The yellow packet is QEF Packet 1. That stands for Quiz Exam Final, and it contains more practice quiz material and practice exam material and eventually a practice final exam. The QEF is not required. I will never check it, but it's available and it's got lots of practice, and there are answers available on, actually the answers are right here at the back of this yellow packet, okay? So that's that. The required homework packet. Let's take a quick look at this thing right here. Okay, there are 2 sources for homework for you guys. One of them is the textbook, and you did homework for me today and you'll do homework for me tonight. Section 1.3 is going to be new next class, and that's from the textbook. But there are certain topics that we wanted to cover in this class that the textbook either doesn't do or doesn't do enough of. And so Sandy, my colleague, has come up with this required homework packet. And if you see, for example, in this stuff with negative numbers, required homework packet is not in the textbook, it's right in here. And it's problems 1 through 9. All right? And so that will be part of the homework for the negative numbers section. So your homework is going to come from either the book or this thing. You don't need to bring the yellow with you every day, but you probably do want to bring this green and the book with you every day. Okay? And the answers to all the green problems are right there in the back. So still check your answers and put check marks next to them if you get them right. Okay. Every problem in this green packet is going to be assigned at some point. You know how like in the book we skip around 1, 5, 7. All right, this is 1 through 9. Next time, 10 through 18. At some point at the end of the semester, this will be entirely filled in by you. Okay. All right. So let's just make sure one last piece of business. Do I have the schedule handy? I don't know. This guy? No. I just want to make sure everybody knows exactly what to do next time. This one. Okay, so this is a single blue page that you guys got last time. And we want to make sure we understand that on Tuesday when we meet again, the homework called 1.3 and the homework called negative numbers are both due. And I've got so many things open I can't even see titles anymore. So 1.3, this is in the small green thing I gave you. 1.3 is that assignment. Negative numbers is this, which is in the green required homework. Okay, I'm not going to give you any handouts for a long time after this, I promise. But it's confusing in the beginning because there's so much stuff I'm throwing at you. All right, so that is good. Let's go back here. Okay, so skipping past the practice problems there, eventually we get around to this page, 23. 23 in big blue. Okay, so on page 23, there's more administrative stuff. We're not going to go through all of it. We're hardly going to talk about any of it. The one thing I did want to mention is here in a college math class, you're expected to check your homework. This process here tells you exactly how to indicate that you have checked your answer. Put a check mark if you got it right, put an X if you got it wrong, and get help with problems that you don't understand. And then this piece here tells you exactly where to find the answers to everything that you're going to be doing in this class, right? Okay, next page. An important heads up. Being able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide negative numbers and positive numbers is vital to passing this course. There's something that Sandy realized in teaching this course for many years. That she used to teach it in a way where people were getting A's, many people were getting A's, and then all of a sudden F's, just A's to F's. And at one point it dawned on her that it was that some folks have difficulty with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing negative numbers. We're really good at positive numbers, but some of us need work on negative numbers. And so Sandy then made a change to the course, and she made it so that the negative numbers stayed away from the algebra. We're going to keep the negative numbers away for about a month. All the algebra we're going to do for the next month is going to be positive numbers only. But then, suddenly, every piece of algebra we do will have negative numbers in it. So this is our way of saying you have about a month to get up to snuff on negative number arithmetic. Some of you are already going to be there, and that's great. But if you aren't, you need to practice, and it's time to start practicing now. So here are different places you can go to practice with the arithmetic of negative numbers. Today, the rest of today is our one class on negative number arithmetic. So we're going to talk about some of these rules about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing negatives right now. But we're not going to be spending really much class time at all after today on this arithmetic. So if you need more practice, if you need help, find me and or follow some of the steps in this take action section. So let's start with the objective. Can we go to Leslie? Could you read the objective, please? Thank you. Holly? Thank you. Okay, again, this is a rare individual activity. No calculators, give it a shot. Okay. I appreciate all of the wonderful discussions. There's a lot of passion about arithmetic of negative numbers. But it's really easy to get these wrong, right? I mean, it's so frustrating. These numbers, the problems, they look quite similar, and yet they have vastly different answers. So let's pick a few. What would you like me to do? Pick some of the ones that we just did that you're having trouble with. Can you read it out loud, Eric? -9 minus -6. Okay, let's take a look at this one. All right, so here's the deal. If I see two negative signs right next to each other, I guess I should correct myself. If I see a subtraction sign followed by a negative sign, right? It's unfortunate that they look the same, those two symbols. But if I see subtract and negative, I immediately do what? Change them both to positive. I can't handle subtracting a negative. Like my brain doesn't work that way. So I make them both positive. Plus, plus. And I can handle this a lot better. -9 plus 6. If you like thinking about the number line, there's 0 there, 1 is here, -2 is out here, right? You can gain a lot from the number line and then at some point graduate away from the number line. But it's okay to use it. -9 is our starting point, so we're way out here at -9. And then I'm adding 6. Which way am I going? If I say go in 6 in the positive direction, you're heading back there to the left. This is completely backwards. Why did I put the negatives out there? Make any sense? -1. You know why? I know why I did it. It's because oftentimes I'm facing you guys. And for me, in my mind, I'm usually the backwards way for me. And I just did an example with one table where I was illustrating something in the right orientation for the table, but backwards for me. And so I was still in the backwards frame. All right, apologies. -9 is way out here. And then I'm adding a +6. Go in the positive direction 6 spaces to the right. Positive is always to the right. So we're going 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this way, and we land on -3.
Actually, yeah, the book says -15.
For which one?
Number 2, which is the.
No, you're on the wrong column.
Yeah, there's a lot of different columns here. We did the middle one in the second row. Yeah, we did that guy.
Found the answer, please.
This guy. Yeah, I think that one's okay. Okay, good. Other questions we want to look at?
I assumed it went over like that. See how the 2's there and that problem's there? 2's here and that's right there.
Okay, so there's a question about the order of the answer keys. So number 1, the first row of the questions corresponds to that first row of answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one we just did was this guy right here.
You sure?
Yeah, 2 in the middle. You changed them to plus signs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just have the orientation. I have their order wrong. My apologies.
I hear you. I'm right with you. Okay, what else do we want to look at? Some other one that is troubling. Tyler.
It wasn't much of a trouble for me, but I knew it was for someone else.
Yeah.
And I wanted to basically 1 and 2 right here are basically the same problem, just written differently.
So you're talking about, what's the first one? -9 plus -6, and then -9 minus 6?
Yeah, 9 is 6 minus 6. Or they're still the same problem. They're just written differently.
Tyler says these are the same problem. What do we think? Holly. You can. Let's circle. Adding a negative is exactly the same as subtracting. And in fact, that's how some people deal with the subtraction problems, is they convert every subtraction into adding a negative number. And they only do addition, never subtraction. So yeah, completely. That's totally fine. These are exactly the same problem. So maybe you see this first version of it by saying start at -9 and then add, meaning go in the normal direction, -6. Which way is the negative normally? It's to the left. So that's what we do. You start at -9 and you go normally -6 more, and we land on -15. Other people prefer leaving it as just straight subtraction. You're at -9, you're subtracting, which means you're going the opposite direction from how you normally would. If I say subtract 6, which way am I telling you to move?
Left.
to the left, subtract 6. So you start at -9, you go left 6 more, and you still land on -15. That's exactly right. These are the same problem. Now here's the deal with all these rules with the arithmetic of negatives. I will never say, here's how you have to think about it, here's how you have to solve it. I just want you to pick a way that works for you. I need you to get these answers right. It makes no difference to me how you get there. So if you prefer the first red line up there, then do it that way. If you prefer the second one, do it that way. If you were taught some other way that works for you, do it that way. Any way is fine. We just got to get the right answer. All right, somebody give me a division or a multiplication problem that we want to look at. 9, is it a fraction line or a division symbol? Division symbol. 9 divided by -3. Okay, so here's what we can do with division. Ignore the negative sign. It's kind of nice. 9 divided by 3 is 3, ignoring the negative sign. And now I just have to apply the right rule here about dividing two numbers. So I think we're in the case here where we are taking a positive number, dividing it by a negative number. And according to this rule, the answer is negative. So I'm just going to finish this problem by putting a negative. Multiplication and division is much easier than addition and subtraction. It's surprising, but it's much easier because the multiplication division rules they're right there. In fact, they're the same. 2 positives multiplied gives you a positive. 2 negatives multiplied also gives you a positive.
I like to remember that one by the English rule that about double negatives.
Double negatives, 2 negatives make a positive. Yeah. Great. And it's the same thing for division. Divide 2 positives, it's positive. Divide 2 negatives, it's still positive. These two columns are the same, just multiplication versus division. Okay, so I think that's good. All right, so there are notes that you can look at later on, and here's some stuff that you can think about for addition and subtraction. There are also some good documents on Moodle. If you're interested in why addition and subtraction of positives and negatives works the way it does, you can take a look at there for some explanation to the rationale. So it's not just random rules that teacher says you should learn. Okay, classwork is on the next page. Work with your neighbors, see how far you can get. So again, just in terms of getting into the flow of our course, normally about 5 or 10 minutes is my little demo thing. The bulk of the period is you guys working in the classwork section. There's extra practice at the end of most sections, but if you go to page 28, you will find a quick check. And as usual, the quick checks are solitary efforts. I want to see what you guys know right now, and I need you to decide whether or not you need to do some extra practice to get up to snuff in terms of this arithmetic. So in the last 5 minutes, quick check on page 28, by yourself without a calculator, and in just a couple of minutes I'll project the answers and I'll let you know when class ends at 10:45. Go ahead. Okay, I'm finally ready. Okay, great, go ahead. Okay, super, that's the next section. Good. Okay, good. Everything is okay? Yeah. All right, and did you get that letter done about the studio? Thank you, Julia, you're all set. Okay, and Randy, you have homework for me today? Okay. Okay, any problems on anything, Randy? Okay, that's fine. You can jump to page, yeah, keep going. Right there, good, good, good. And I see check marks, and that's wonderful. Keep going. And there, okay, let's go back to page 9. Super. Okay, you're all set. And did you get that letter
I
done?
do have it, but my printer's broken. I didn't know if I would be able to
You can email it. The only thing I need you to hand me in person. Where'd you go, Randy? Here we are. Is you have to get a signature that just tells me you were there and met some other faculty member. So you can hand that to me next time.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yes. So if you are winding down on the quick check, you can take a look at the smartboard. You'll find the answer key. Geneva, do you have any homework for me today?
I left my flash drive and then they do it on
The letter? Okay, great. I'll take it next time. Okay, good. Any questions on anything here? Okay, that looks wonderful. The only thing I'll ask you to do, it's full credit. The only thing I'll ask you to do in the future is make sure that you check, did you check the answers in the back of the book?
I did.
Just throw check marks there to let me know you looked up everything up and it's all good.
Did you want, like, I know I graphed paper, but did you want us to do, like, work on the paper, the graph on graph?
Whatever's convenient for you. Okay, good. Okay, so you missed a lot of stuff today, unfortunately. Now, there are two things that